Yeah.
All right, we're live. Tonight on Cover to Cover, John Denver's Poems, Prayers, and Promises.
Sunshine.
Oh, I'm not allowed to. Hey,
Country road, take me home.
I guess I can't play my clip anymore. Anyway, thanks.
Oh man, that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, it won't let me play it. I gotta upgrade. StreamYard.
Country roads.
Anyway, let's
Acapella.
get into the album. This is John Denver's fourth studio album. It was released April 6, 1971. Came out on RCA Records.
1971.
Clocks in at 37 minutes and 57 seconds. Although, if you look at the track list, it looks like it should be longer, but it's not. It was produced by Milton Oken and Susan Ruskin. The name Susan Ruskin sounds familiar to me, but
wasn't she a
Oken.
Teddy Ruskin? Remember that bear?
Maybe that's what I'm
The articulated bear.
Milton Oken produced Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Puff
among
the
others.
magic dragon lived by the sea.
Too bright.
Not a whole lot on this album.
I was very surprised about that.
I figured because of the highlighted two highlighted tracks on it that there'd be more information on it, but then again, I didn't really scour the internet for it.
Do you know if this was his best-selling album?
This album was the one that put him on that
map.
That kind of put him on the map, brought him into stardom, I guess you could say.
It sold 4 million copies, so I don't know.
I'm thinking this might be his best selling, the greatest hits.
Okay,
That's kind of cheating.
that kind of makes sense.
It's kind of cheating though, but yeah, before the greatest hits, this was
The one that put him over.
Yep.
Donnie, why did you pick this album?
Because of Country Roads.
What does that mean to
The
you?
main reason. Without being too sentimental, it's not really like a sentimental attachment, but when the girls were younger, that was one of the songs I used to sing to them at night. Particularly Lila when she was wee little. Among other songs, I used to sing that and America's Sandman and
You used to sing to her "Enter Sandman" by
no,
Metallica?
no. America's Sandman.
Oh. I thought it was "Enter Sandman."
No. She listens to that song now, though.
Okay. Yeah, but not as a baby. You didn't sing it to her as a baby.
No.
You're a good dad.
But that was
awesome.
one of the reasons that and I hadn't, other than his bigger hit singles, I hadn't really been exposed to too much John Denver. I just happened to get my great aunt's record collection when she passed away, and she had like 8 or 9 of his albums. So
Dang.
I
awesome.
started them all up. And this was one of them. So
I think you need about 21 or 22 more albums.
yeah, right.
I think he had 30 albums.
Really?
I
30
believe so.
albums?
Yeah, he was a record making machine for sure.
And what year was it that he passed? Do you recall? Was it
96.
Okay, 96. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier. Okay.
I thought I was in high school.
So that's what, like, okay, so this is his fourth album in 71. let's say his first album came out in 68, Just Saying, and he died in 96. That's what, almost 30 years? So that's a that's a long career for 20-something albums.
Plus, he did acting too within that 30 years, also.
Oh yeah, he was, dude. Oh God,
Yeah,
it's
great
so
movie.
great freaking movie, man. I watched that multiple times as a kid. I watched it maybe like a year ago. I watched Oh God Book 2. That's with the little girl. John Denver's not in that, and that was good too. But the first one was he worked. He was a grocery store manager, dude. I could relate. You know, it was so cool watching that movie again.
I know he did a lot with the Muppets.
He did a lot with the Muppets.
Yeah. He did. He was in the movie and on the show.
He was he in politics as well?
I don't think so.
No, that was Sonny Bono that went into politics. Right?
Yeah, that was funny.
I did recently, before we even picked this album or whatever, I think, or somewhere between, a video came up on my feed on YouTube, and it talked about the feud between him and the Detroit Tigers, because every home game the Detroit Tigers plays Country Roads and everybody sings it. Well, at some point, there's video of him at, I want to say, Red Sox game, I think, or a Phillies game, maybe Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It was somebody on the East Coast, and there was video of him, and they were singing Country Roads and stuff like that, and Detroit felt betrayed because they were the ones that were singing the song, and then he tried to make it right. I mean, it was just a whole debacle. It was
I think I've heard that.
something like that.
Yeah, I believe I've heard that story. I don't remember I believe I don't remember the details either, but yeah, I remember that, hearing something about it. That story was that song's still massive, huh?
Still, I think I saw
this year's Super Bowl.
It had 100 and I think under his account on YouTube, I think that song had 164 or 134 million views
just on there
for the 9 years that it's been posted.
Let me see.
What's the song by Neil Diamond that everybody sings?
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. It's up there with Sweet Caroline, right?
Yeah.
Like you hear it at pools, you hear it at the weirdest times. I'll tell you, this Saturday, I play basketball. I try to play on Saturdays. I got a group of friends and we play on Saturdays. This Saturday, I went with my son because he was off, and we went to go play with his friends, and they're like probably in their early 30s, right? And we hadn't been there probably, man, I haven't played with those guys probably in a year. So we're playing. I played horrible, by the way. Really bad. But somebody traveled, and one of the guys goes, Country Road, and he went right into singing it. And they're in their 30s, mostly Latin, grew up in Miami, and they even know this song. This song is like trans everything. I'm sure these guys aren't into John Denver at all.
Yeah.
They might not even know who he sings that, but they've heard the song a million times probably. Who knows where?
That's the same case for me when I was younger. I never was in John Denver at all.
Yeah.
But like Country Roads and
But you knew this when you were young, right?
Yes.
I knew it when I was young.
And I always loved the song, even though I didn't really at the time care for much of his music, because it just wasn't my style when I was young.
Right.
But for me, Country Roads is just a timeless.
It's timeless.
It's like almost a perfect song.
Yeah, it's timeless.
And I heard.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just found the Spotify plays. Guess that number. That's
okay. What did you say Jim was on? Where did you see it on YouTube?
YouTube. His channel I think was like 134 million.
134 million
views for that video.
Damn.
That song track.
And now you're on Spotify?
Yeah, the Spotify number.
All right. So we're all. So the three of us are guessing. Stop cheating, Jim.
Yeah, don't be cheating.
The three of us are guessing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 428 million.
I'll say 250 million.
669 million. And the original version is 444 million.
It's how much?
444 million for the original version.
And what's the version that has
the remastered version? So
God,
That's
like
a billion between the two of them.
billion between the two.
Unbelievable. I did hear something about this song or that song, that there was a couple that he knew or performed with. They wrote the song and he liked the song so much, I guess he asked them if he could have it or play it or whatever.
so he didn't write this.
He did. He co-wrote it. They
Okay.
came up with the song and because he wanted to do it, but he rewrote it
Wow.
for himself, basically.
Like he rearranged it or something,
He
right?
he rearranged he rewrote the lyrics in certain areas and stuff
Right.
like that. So it counted him as
As a co-writer.
a co-writer, yes. But the other,
Oh my
the
God.
husband and girlfriend or the wife or whatever they were, or the other duet, they were the ones that came up with the idea.
Right.
Taffy Nivert and Bill Danhoff.
So you gotta hope, or at least you gotta hope that they got royalties from this, right?
Oh, I would imagine if they're credited as co-writer,
Yeah.
then yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't
Wow.
have to worry about their music career.
They didn't have to worry about anything.
No.
That song to me, it's a perfect. It's one of those up there with a perfect song.
Yeah.
Because as much as I've heard it, given I don't hear it like all the time, but I still haven't got tired of hearing that song.
And it's a song that always makes you feel good.
Yeah.
You know? It always brings a smile, take me home. It's nostalgic. It's
That song and the other song that's not on this album, but it's Thank God I'm a Country Boy.
mhm.
That's another banger.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, he has another banger on here too, though.
Yes, that would probably be Sunshine on My Shoulder.
Sunshine on My Shoulder.
I'm not, jumping ahead. I'm not super big on that song. I mean, it's an all right song, but it's
a big song though.
It's one
Yeah.
of his well-known
It's
songs.
a big song, dude.
Yeah.
Because people, Sunshine on My, you could see.
and I think that song, as far as charts wise, Sunshine on My Shoulders did better than Country Road
Country Roads.
in the charts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is a shocker to me because I think the other one's way better.
Well, this says Country Roads peaked at number 2.
Okay.
And
Okay.
worldwide, the single initially sold 3.5 million copies.
Dang.
But just the
And this is
single
19
alone.
and this is 1971, dude. That's big. That's big
Got
time.
a lot of money in 1971 money.
That's a mega hit.
Sunshine on My Shoulders peaked at number 1,
Wow.
and
So he blew up, dude. Big.
Yeah.
was
Saturday and
certified.
Friday are 1 and 2.
Wow.
That says certified gold at 1 million copies. So that's pretty crazy.
It hit one, but the other one sold more.
Yeah.
Well, I could see it because that's probably. Well, I don't know. What about the rest of the album? What you
2
guys think?
fantastic covers.
Yeah.
He could cover songs.
I wasn't blown away by the covers.
I like them, but personally, I think this album could have held up without them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um,
For sure.
So
I don't
it
know
was-
if you want to consider it a cover. I don't know too much about it, but the song Junk, it was actually written by Paul McCartney. I don't know if
Okay.
he ever produced it or if he wrote it and gave it to John Denver. I don't know the details of it, but I do know Junk was written by Paul McCartney.
It was released on his debut solo album, McCartney.
Okay.
I wasn't blown away by the covers, man. And I agree with Jim. I think it could have done without him. He didn't need it. I'm gonna tell you one hit that when I heard Poems and Prayers for the first time, dude, that shit brought a tear to my eye
Yeah.
with the
Great
lyrics.
song.
It wasn't until like this afternoon when I was at work and I was listening to it on break. It wasn't, man, it was like I never really like truly listened to the lyrics until then. And it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a song about reflecting
Mhm.
on your life.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah.
And, you know, basically himself sitting at a campfire telling himself, you know, I got more living to do.
Dude, it hits hard, right?
It's a
Mhm.
great song. Holy
Yeah.
cow. That one surprised me. Like when I actually listened to the words and actually just sat and just like I had my headphones on. It was awesome.
Great opener and great title track.
Yep.
Yeah.
How many you
and
think
that
about
song
that?
was
How many albums start off with their title track?
Yeah.
And that particular song too seemed to be one of his more popular ones too, because he did do it with the Muppets, I believe.
really.
He did it's on that greatest hits. So I mean, it was obviously I watched a couple live performances on YouTube of him singing it. So it's obviously one of his more popular songs. And I see why, you know, it's a great song.
It hits, man. It hits. It's
Especially when you're getting old and you've experienced the same thing, you know, you're sitting at a campfire and you're thinking about your life and what you've done and where you've gone to and come from. And
well, that's exactly what I was thinking. The older, the more it hits, right? It's
yeah.
I don't think if I would have been younger, like I was thinking, how old was he when he wrote that? Because he probably was maybe in his 20s?
Either late 28 or 32 or somewhere. I would say
that's
somewhere between there.
young. That's young, man. I'm 56 now, and it hit hard. It's like, oh shit. And I was like, okay. And you know what? I really didn't want to listen to it because I didn't want to, tear up. So I didn't finish the song.
What?
I didn't finish it. It's like I don't want to get melancholy. I tend to get melancholy. It's like I know I'm good right now. I don't need to get melancholy. I'm good. But it hits.
Yeah.
And I mean from the first verse it starts hitting. It's like it doesn't go too long before it's like, oh shit, what?
Yeah, it's not one of those songs where they're singing about something, then at the last verse it all comes together what they're singing about.
No,
he's telling you
from the get-go.
I'm getting old. I'm sitting by a fire. And I'm reflecting on my life, and
exactly.
Time's passed. So much time has passed, and then I got more living to do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Great lyrics.
I have another song that surprised me. Wooden Indian.
Yes.
Yeah.
When that hit, that's the one song that's different from all the other ones. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit, we got a jam.
Yeah.
And it's really freaking good.
That song was the first song that like, oh yeah, that's the song I like.
Yeah, dude. That song like woke you up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song got me, dude.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Not just his tempo, but his voice.
His voice,
that song, everything. He just
and the guitar, and the guitar, dude.
Yeah.
He's fucking jamming.
Yeah.
The only thing I hate about that song, it's only I think it was 1:40, something like that. It's super short.
It's very,
but it's really good. Really fucking good song.
Yeah, when I first heard that one, I said, yeah, that's the song I like the most so far.
Yeah. Me too.
Great. It was upbeat.
It's a rocker. It's the one rock. To me, it's the one rocker in the. It shows a whole different side of him.
Yeah.
You know.
But then after that, it goes back to.
It goes back down, but they're classics. I'm telling you. the two covers, I prefer the originals. I didn't see anything. That's the one thing about the covers. They didn't add nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather just listen to the Beatles or to James Taylor. You know, and my wife, I was listening to it with my wife today, and she's a huge James Taylor, and she goes, "Oh, I know that song." You know, and she knew the Country Roads and those other ones, but she you know, she perked up when Fire and Rain came on. So it is a good cover, but I prefer the originals.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only thing. Favorite songs? I think we kind of touched on all the favorite songs, didn't we?
Yeah, one of
Yeah.
my favorite songs is Wooden In. Besides Country Road, obviously,
Wooden
that
Indian.
would be the all-time. But besides the obvious, it would be Wooden Indian and Gospel Changes.
Gospel Changes was very good as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Gospel
Yeah.
Changes a lot.
I'm going to go with Wooden Indian because it just surprised me. I wasn't expecting it
I'll go Poems. I'll go the first track.
for the first track. How did you feel about that first track, being a young buck?
I think it's definitely the strongest. I can't really relate to the lyrics, but it's definitely the strongest.
Why is it the strongest?
I don't know. I think it works the best out of the album.
Okay. Does that include Country Roads?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably the most produced song other than Country Roads on the album.
Okay.
Because everything else is very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And that one has a lot going on. And Wooden Indian as well is very produced.
I would like to set the record straight for myself and for you guys that I never thought or considered John Denver country,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the Country Music Association at the time, whatever, they never did either, because I was hearing stuff where they would always leave him out. They wouldn't interview him. They wouldn't. Basically, they didn't accept him.
Yeah, he's
Right.
got a leather jacket on. He's Bob
And
Dylan.
He's
Mr.
more
Ritz
folk.
took that reward and set it on fire. But I still don't think he belongs in the country category.
So where does he belong though? He's like
Folk.
almost like a folk, right?
Folk. I would put
With
him in
the-
folk Americana
Yeah.
type,
Yeah, I don't-
Wikipedia lists him as country folk.
I think that's fine. Country folk makes sense because
because it's the same thing, and like some of the James Taylor stuff, it's
Mhm.
like that's folk. I consider that
Yeah.
folk music.
that's folk. That's
You
folk.
know, and
I place guys like that in the singer songwriter category
yeah,
because they're phenomenal songwriters,
Mhm.
and when they do them themselves, most of the time they're pretty good.
Why do you think he's more country? Is that the sound of his voice? Maybe I don't know. I think more. I think folk country. Honestly,
Maybe the acoustic elements. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know myself. I don't know.
because I don't think it's his style of singing to me isn't country. It's folk. His guitar playing is folk music style.
He does have a 12-string. That isn't really prevalent in country music, at least at that time, I don't think.
Dude, I listened to. Do you guys remember the TV show Grizzly Adams?
No, but I know what it is.
Okay, I grew up watching that. I think it was on. It might have been Wednesdays at 8 on NBC. It's either. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Wednesdays. I watched that religiously. Grizzly Adams with his bear Ben, and
Yeah.
I watched that every time it was on. And I listened to this, and that I just see Grizzly Adams walking with Ben on a mountain with the high grass flowing and the
Sure.
wildflowers. That's instantly it goes to that image and him singing. Is that country or it's Mountain Men? It's Jeremiah Johnson kind of. Is that country? That's not really country though, right? I don't see cowboys. I see a mountain man with a bear, with a grizzly walking. That's my image. I think he's country folk because, that's my opinion.
I'd say folk for two things. I said the 12 string, and that's very John Lennon, especially like Rubber Soul, which
Mhm.
was a very folk influenced album. And I think a lot of the songs give off like Norwegian Wood,
Yeah.
that kind of feel.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, even
And that's just folk music.
I mean, I don't know what artists used in country music in the 60s and 70s, but I do know like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, they
Mhm.
used 12 strings. And
Yeah.
I'm sure Neil Diamond probably had a 12 string. Not Neil Diamond, Neil Young. All those guys, late 60s, that folky.
Do you consider them country?
Who? Crosby, Stills,
Crosby,
and Nash?
Stills.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. No, I think they're folk also. Americana
it's folk.
folk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely more folk than country. Definitely.
Yeah, but he definitely has those influences.
He's folk. He's folk.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
plus a lot of the country music doesn't go. I mean, they do, but they don't in a sense. I would say lyrically, he's more deep
Yes.
than your standard like country song of the 70s or early
Yes.
70s.
Yes.
Where they come up with a hook, they come up with this, that, and the other. They had choruses, they had stuff that rhymes and this and that. His is more lyrically
Mhm.
out there and deep, like a folk singer.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm convinced. You got me. You're right.
I think
I mean,
I agree.
That's
I
just-
agree. I agree. I agree. I
I'll
agree.
put-
I think
I'll put the final nail in the coffin.
it
With
goes more that way.
the final
definitely.
track, Box, I think, which is just a poem.
Spoken
Mhm.
word. Yeah.
That is very folk, especially the anti-war.
Mhm.
That all that kind of that's very yeah.
Yeah, because at the time this come out, this is where Vietnam
Vietnam.
was winding
Yeah.
down.
Mhm.
It was at its coming to an end.
Yeah. Good record, Donnie. I'm
Yeah,
glad it
great.
had a sentimental edge to it with your girls.
And I for me, I know I say it a lot, but I'll have to say it again. This album grew on me.
Yes.
The first two times I just listened to it and I just had it in the background and I really wasn't like analyzing or listening to the lyrics and stuff like that.
Yes.
But like today alone at work, I listened to it back to back and with headphones on, and it was great.
The first time I heard it, it felt like the songs didn't fit together.
Yeah.
The
first time they blended together. Like there was no, your wooden Indian was kind of like your break that
yeah.
said, okay, there's a different song. Then
Yeah.
everything else was the same except for Country Road and the big ones that we know.
Yeah.
Everything was just straight melancholy sounding until you got to those few upbeat songs.
Yeah.
But then again, like I said, it's more lyric based for songwriting, which kind of opens it up and makes it like, wow, that's what a phenomenal album.
I can see why it blew him up. He had two major freaking songs. And the rest of it's good as well.
Yeah.
Yep. And man, if like 18, 20-year-old me sitting here saying like, man, I kind of dig John Denver, I would have kneed myself so hard in the balls.
You had to watch some Grizzly Adams.
It's like, bro, I would have told him, what are you doing,
You needed to watch Grizzly Adams.
But things change when you get old.
You didn't grow up with Grizzly Adams and Little House on the Prairie. That's what you had to watch.
I saw Little House on the Prairie, but Grizzly Adams, that was way before my time.
Bro, that was the same time as that came on after Little House on the Prairie, bro.
Well, that's probably after Little House on the Prairie.
It's the same. It was on at the same time.
Ninja Turtles was on at that time. I ain't watching
The
no Grizzly Adams.
My mom and my mom and folks they didn't watch that, so I didn't get exposed to it.
Dude, I loved Grizzly Adams, dude. That was so good. As a kid, it was good. The Big Bear Ben, the Big Grizzly. I love that show, man. I wanted to be a mountain man. I wanted to go off by myself and just leave everybody.
I did that once.
Be a hermit,
A drifter.
a drifter.
And you know, it's funny. Years later, you see all those shows on A&E
Mhm.
about the mountain men and guys living off the grid. And
I always wanted to do that. I was like, you know what, man? I'm just gonna leave, and I'm not gonna come back for years, and they're gonna wonder what happened to me. What an idiot!
It happens.
You get
It
called
happens.
and run back home.
No, I never did. I never did.
Face the reality, and you're running back home.
Yeah, I never did attempt it, but it crossed my mind quite a few times. I'm gonna go live on a mountain with a bear. Probably would have been a goat. Maybe a donkey. Maybe I would have had a pet donkey.
oh shit!
Yeah. All right, Donnie. 2 albums to go. Are we good?
I didn't know that was. I didn't know
Yeah, we
Grizzly Adams
we
was
didn't-
based on a real person.
Yes, it was.
We didn't talk
I didn't
about the
know
album cover.
No, we did not. Great.
you like-
Classic 70s album cover, right?
Minimal.
Great album cover. That's
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
like for me one of his best album covers where he didn't look super nerdy.
Yeah.
You
Some
can
of
just,
them-
you can just
Even
kinda
the
see
back
him.
he looked a little more cooler.
Yeah.
But where's the other one at?
He
It's
looks more
almost like
mature.
it's
Yeah,
almost like a
Next to
picture
the one where
capture
he's
to
like,
pick-
Hey guys.
talk about
Doing-
goofy.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
nerdy, bro.
Cool there. He's got a little He-Man going on.
That's the
but-
convention.
In that picture, okay, we're going back to Smokey and the Bandit. He looks like the little guy.
Little
Yeah.
Ennis.
Yeah, that sends him off on the yeah, that's who he looks like there.
He looks like there he kind of looks like what your typical like 80s grandma. I had a PE teacher in elementary school. I swear to God, looks just like this. And she was an amputee. She was missing an arm.
Can you see if he's wearing sandals? Is he wearing sandals? Flip-flops? You can't tell, right?
Boots, looks like.
Oh, I was gonna say it looks like he's
They look like hiking boots,
Hiking boots. He needs flip-flops.
hiking shoes, boots. See, country guy would have had cowboy boots on. Just saying.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Not out there in the wilderness eating berries and smoking grass.
Wildflowers. Wildflowers. Picking wildflowers. Not a care in the world
With his dog.
with his dog and a guitar. You need a
Kind of
guitar.
like your version of Grizzly Adams with his dog, but not a bear.
Yeah. Not a big, huge, massive 1,000-pound grizzly. No 1,000-pound
He's
grizzly.
gonna drown.
After a couple of them wild mushrooms, it probably was a grizzly bear.
Hiawatha. Have you guys seen Superman?
No, but I've heard good things about it.
We'll talk after the show.
Okay. So what's next, Donnie? We're gonna spin that wheel. Are we done?
Great album. Great
Great
album, Donnie. Great album. Thank you.
What the hell?
It grows on you if you're not into it.
It's
Share screen.
If you ain't into it, maybe you just gotta get a little bit older.
maybe you
Let's
need to
do
get a
it
little
couple
older.
more time.
Well, 2 albums left. Take the
Oh
red
my
pill or the
God.
blue pill.
Are we gonna end with My Chemical Romance? Are we gonna end with My Chemical Romance?
That'd be a hell of a send off. I'm telling you.
There's only 2 albums. I'm not even gonna bother shuffling.
My Chemical Romance is gonna be last, bro.
We should just pick My Chemical Romance now, and there we go. Radiohead send off.
Oh my God, Radiohead, Kid A is gonna be last. Wow. And then there were 2. My Chemical Romance. I have never heard My Chemical Romance that I know of.
I might have heard one song from flipping through way back when music videos or whatever.
Mhm.
Other than that, I don't know
Look-
shit about them.
Look at the excitement on Little Boat. He is just thrilled. He was
I'm
just
sure.
biting. He was just biting his cuticles, his nails. He looked away. He's just so excited.
You just can't hide it. You know.
What's the name of the album again?
The Black Parade, right?
The Black Parade. Okay.
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance. And we're ending it with Kid A. Wow. Radiohead, last but not least. Cool.
It's Lease.
Oh my God.
All right, so get out there. Check out John Denver's
Country
Oh,
roads
and
Take me
Promises.
home.
to
Uh,
a place.
check out some of his other stuff.
West Virginia,
Now,
And-
Mama.
take me home.
2 weeks, My Chemical Romance,
Road.
The Black Parade.
It's gonna be good, ladies and gentlemen. It's
In the
gonna be
meantime,
good.
Get out there and listen
It'll
to
be,
some music.
A blank spot
Do it.
right here.
Ooh.